Two things before you watch this video. One, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and make sure you've grabbed our meditation bundle. 5 meditations: loneliness, relationships, health, releasing, and a general meditation, all bundled together for $20. We want to get thousands of people to do this inner work. $20 for a bundle of 5. It's unreal. Grab it and see how much change happens for you. Enjoy this video on February.
Hi, this is a video for February 2025. Before I even start this video, I want to offer you to just take a second and just feel what's here. I want to offer you to feel the field that's around you. I want you to feel the now that's holding you and the space that's here that can actually hear you. I want you to notice this field and allow it to expand you just by paying attention to it. And I also want to offer you to notice how many things we're used to holding on to stay in our smaller, separate self. Remember that there's a smaller, separate self that we think is us, that has habits and addictions and is attached to things that support a smaller, separate self. But the more you connect to this field, the more you'll feel expansion, the more you'll feel wholeness, the more you feel here. And if you don't understand what's going on, you might just go, no, I'm used to this way working. I'm used to the smaller self working. I'm used to these things. But you'll notice that in this time, the smaller self must dissolve. It's almost as if the universe or source has created a field now where all of your protection mechanisms that you truly needed in the past don't work now anymore. And you'll notice when you grab onto any attachment, any story, any past, you'll feel suffering at a much more intense level than you might have, let's say, 20 years ago. And one of the things that's happening in this time is you'll notice you have less and less choice. You still can make choices, but you'll notice if you're not picking and choosing the things that move you into your expansion, it's almost instantaneous that you feel off and pain, because right now the universe is purging your smaller self, your attached self, your separate self, your self that has to fend for themselves, that's totally addicted, that is a people pleaser. That is being purged in this time. And the more you hold on to that self and hold on to the habits of that self and grab onto what that self is attached to, the more you'll feel pain so quickly that you have to let go of it. So in a way, you have choice. You have this egoic choice that can choose what you want. But you'll also notice that if you don't choose what your soul wants, you'll suffer right away and let go of it. So in another way, you don't have choice, because holding on to the smaller self is getting harder and harder and harder to do. In February, there is so much light that is showing up right now, and it's moving so exponentially. You will discover that you have to let go. It's almost like you're jumping off a plane and holding on to it, and the plane is the small self, and it's like it's moving too fast and you can't do it, and it's so painful to keep holding on to it that life is just going to make you completely continue to let go. And everything that's the small self that you're holding on to is just impossible to hold on to. And you'll start to realize that if you just allow and you move into your wholeness, you move into your oneness, you'll start to feel a peace that you've never felt before. And one of the things that's happening is we're moving from the high happy to soul happy. They're very different. High happy is, I want to change my circumstances so I don't feel pain that's there. Whole happy, soul happy is where you're connected to the now and it transcends the pain that's there, because that pain inevitably isn't even the truth. The only thing that keeps that pain there is holding on to the small self who created a small self in order to not feel that pain. So as you move into your expansion, it just gently will cause you to look within. The expansion will want to heal you. That's you moving into a God self, a source self. A merging with source is being forced on all of us in this time. If you're watching videos like this and do your own inner work, you're on the front lines of that healing. You're someone who's had an awakening, and now you're being forced to follow it. And so as you do, you will move into your expansion, and that connection to the true self will gently, when it decides, purge more and more of the pain that's stuck in your body, because you're no longer the small self, you're the true self. Another thing that's going to happen that's so trippy is you're going to start to notice that the small self is up against other people or other things. You're protecting yourself from getting hurt again from other people. But when you listen to expansion, whether it's through meditation or following your heart, you'll start to realize that the other people are people that are in your vision, in your field. In other words, it's not literally those people. You'll see in your meditation, there's a small you, and then there's a small those other people you have to protect from. But more and more as you do this work, you'll realize you seeing the other people as separate from you keeps your small self. And if you allow yourself to listen to expansion, it will start to feel love for both this small you, no matter what, and for everyone else. In other words, one of the things that keeps us in our small self is a belief that we're not loved in certain circumstances. Some people believe that if I shut down, I won't be loved, that if I'm too much, I won't be loved, that if I'm alone by myself, I won't be loved, that if I don't whatever, I won't be loved. And what we're going to learn in this time is you're loved no matter what. You are loved no matter what. And you can't hold on to that thing that creates the illusion that you're no longer going to be loved. And a reason that we try to maneuver circumstances is because we believe there's a way to maneuver circumstances so that we're loved, and there's a way to avoid not being loved. And all of it hinders on a belief that love for you is conditional. As you allow yourself to connect to the true connection of what you are, you'll realize that you're loved not because you achieved something or because of your victim story, or because of your past or because of anything. You're loved, period. Because you exist, there's no way to get out of it. But because you're loved, no matter what, you'll start to realize that anyone that you have a problem with, anyone that you feel hurt by, is also loved. And you'll realize that you've made them separate from you, and you think that they're not loved for that because you're creating a situation in your mind where what they did is wrong, or you don't like them, or whatever, and you're not able to see the world through God's eyes. The more you move into expansion, you'll start to feel nothing but love and forgiveness for everyone on the planet. You're going to lose judgment because the people you're judging are also you. As you move into oneness, you'll realize that you're not separate from anything. And the more you have judgment for others, the more you keep yourself in the separate self. So as you move into the expanded you, you'll realize that you're starting to see that you're loved, and everyone ever that you've seen as separate from you, whether it's a ex or a spouse or a mother-in-law or anything, is also you. And you'll realize your cause of suffering is by staying in the small self and seeing them as not you. As you move into your expansion, you'll see all that is as you, and you'll start to see through God's eyes, just nothing but love. The more you see that, the more that the small self will no longer be able to exist. The small self literally needs judgment for others in order to stay alive. And we're scared because we don't know who we are without the small self. So we get really attached to thinking everyone else is wrong and there's things wrong with other people. And then we keep ourselves in that prison. But in February, you'll notice it's exhausting to stay that small self. And the more you try to do things to stay the small self, the faster you'll suffer. And life is asking you to open your heart and be. And let it just be boring for a minute. Let yourself not know what to do and watch as all the little addictive patterns come up. But then notice when you don't say yes to those addictions and you allow yourself to just be, you'll be forced to listen deeper and deeper. And the deeper you listen, the more you'll see that the smaller self was just created out of a certain fear. A fear of being lonely, a fear of being abandoned, a fear of being hurt, a fear of being abused. And the more you listen to the expansion, the more you'll hear that this God you is doing everything it can to remove that. And it's going, look at this, I want to take this from you. So this time is taking away your ability to block that healing from happening. And you're going to move into a now. And you're not going to find that circumstances create your happiness, but surrender does. And from this surrender, your circumstances could be more awesome, but you don't have to ambitiously create circumstances in order to be happy, in order to cover up that you're not enough or not loved. In other words, you're going to start now living as if you are loved no matter what you do. And the more you feel that, the more whole you'll be. The more you'll create space for abundance, the more you'll create space for better ideas, the more you won't hurt yourself or other people, the more you'll live in a place of love. That's what's happening in this time because our small selves no longer can hold on anymore. February is the speeding up of that time where we will go, okay, why don't I feel as fulfilled when I do that egoic thing? Because it's keeping your small self alive. So you'll just kind of be listening more. And one of the number one things we want to do in this next month and beyond is create a field where we are able to be heard by God, where we are able to merge with God. For some people, they might have been introverted and repressing a bunch of things, so maybe they feel more heard if they talk to a therapist. Other people might have been extroverting a bunch, and they might find God more by just living in their now, sitting outside, just being in nature, just being. But what we want to do is create a space for God to come and do God's thing. And we do not need to hold on to a small self. We don't need to hold on to our regrets, our resentments, our guilt, our victim story, our past. This time is here to expand you. And we have to feel love for our past, love for our small self. Be thankful to your small self for protecting you all the way up till now. But through that appreciation and love, we're going to alchemize the small self and move into a true magical self that's miraculous, that's connected to source, that major magical things can happen through, that healing can happen instantaneously, that you'll realize your pain was much more your perception than what happened. And you'll move into a oneness and go, man, all those things that ever happened to me were supposed to happen. They move me into the true self that I am. Those fall apart moments, those moments of mistakes, those moments someone did something to me were supposed to happen for me to get here. And then you'll start to associate everything in your past was perfect. So we let go of the past. And if you let go of the past, guess what else you let go of? Your future. Almost every goal you have in the future is designed to fix something you feel resentment about in the past. So the more we let go of the past, the more we let go of the future. And then the more we realize we're only the now. And the now is interchangeable. And the now will change your past. And the now will change your future. And that's what this month is about, moving you into the now you that's connected to all that is, because you're not that small self that needs to protect yourself from moments that you haven't alchemized anymore. You're the now who's here to love those moments and thank those moments and realize they were all perfect. And you start to realize all this was perfect. All this was for my growth. All this was for my healing. And all of this got me to this truth that I am. So open your heart big, because February is about surrender. It's about releasing control. It's about gratitude. And it's about truly experiencing love, not because you did something or didn't do something, but because that's what you are. You are love. You are loved. You're so magical. And it's up to you to find that that is the truth and stop fighting and finding a limitation and creating circumstances that make you loved, but instead start with that you're loved and see what happens in life as a byproduct of that all you are is love. Can't wait to see you in March.